but we winning. Yeah. You don't like it, but we winning, man. Are you not entertained?
All right. We're back. Cold from Report. Bills demolish Dallas. Take 2. So we're back. We got audio for the guys. Don't know what happened. I didn't actually have to change anything or touch anything. Just one of those things that happened. But we are back. And we were getting to the point that Josh Allen had a phenomenal game, and that's what we're going to touch in because Josh Allen's the leader of his team, and that's who we start with because that's what we want to do. So, Fred, no, dude, he already put the bucket hat on, tradition. So, bucket hat, Fred, we win. He wears the bucket hat. If you didn't see it the first time, it's nighttime this year. It's upgrade from last year. Thoughts on the game that Josh Allen had this week? Biggest star in Dallas.
I touched on it, but you guys couldn't hear me. But what I was saying is that on that 4th down play where Josh Allen actually fumbled the ball, picked the ball up, and was able to pick up the first down, he showed an emotion that he's not shown before on this team since he's been on the Bills. And what that emotion did is it carried over to not only the coaching staff, but to his players as well. It kind of just motivated them. Right after that is when we saw Daboll get creative with the play calling and hit that special play.
Yeah. Clayton?
Josh Allen, he's never played on a nationally televised game in his professional career, but he's been on stages. He's had opportunities to make a mark, if you will. Go back to that game against the Patriots earlier in this season where Josh Allen, he played okay up until that point, and then it was just almost a train wreck in that football game. And then go back to the Eagle game where he was playing another top-tier quarterback with Carson Wentz on the other sideline. And it was very similar to the New England game. Not as bad, but almost kind of similar. Now he's on national TV. He talked about how he had aspired to always win a Thanksgiving game his entire childhood, and he absolutely lit it up. He had 79% completion percentage. 79% completion percentage, the highest in his career so far. And he completed 11 straight passes at one point for 130 yards.
11 straight.
It was incredible.
11 consecutive for the 3 drives.
That was the best performance we have seen from Josh Allen, and it just so happened to be in a game where 32 million people were watching.
Mind you, the highest rated Thanksgiving Day game.
27 years.
In 27 years.
Yep.
Which is why we make the announcement now, if you guys don't know yet, that the Bills and Steelers game set for a couple weeks from now, actually set for week 15, has been flexed to the Sunday night 8:30 game. So that is getting flexed. The Bills will be on primetime TV again. And you know why? It's a simple reason why it's getting flexed. Because they saw the ratings. They saw it jump through the roof. And guess what? Now it's, let's put Bills Mafia on TV because they're going to come out. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. So that game has been flexed for those. Week 15, the Bills and Steelers have been flexed from 1 o'clock to 8:30. So if you have to work third shift, call out. If you have to be to work early in the morning, take a nap during the day. But make sure you get your plans ready and get your popcorn ready for that night. You ain't going to miss it. That'd actually be a playoff clinching game at that point in time. But no. Huge game there. Huge game there. But back to this game here. Josh Allen played phenomenal. And I had made the point in the other show that there was 2 games that Josh Allen had nationally televised at Wyoming his junior year. It was Iowa and it was Wyoming. It was Iowa and Oregon versus his Wyoming Cowboys. He stunk it up in both of those games. Now, much can be attributed to because he didn't have tier 1 talent at Wyoming. We know that. But he was also going into that year was the number 1 rated quarterback and number 1 rated prospect, I think, in that NFL draft on most boards. He slipped a little bit to third behind, as we know now, Mayfield and Darnold, partly in due to those games. So I know this kid has been waiting to get back on national TV once again. And the man, did he shine. 19 of 24. He hit every intermediate throw you can hit. He stepped up in the pocket. There was even one point where he stood still in the pocket, so kudos to that offensive line. Kudos to that offensive line. But no, I'm not surprised by this. Does this type of performance surprise you, Clayton, from him?
No, honestly, it doesn't, because you look back to the track that Josh Allen's been on these last, 8 games now? Ever since the New England game. He has had quite a consistent line of linear growth since that New England Patriot game. And we've seen different things from him, and we've seen different things asked from him in each game every single week. And these last 2 performances against the Dolphins, against the Broncos, We've seen different facets of Josh Allen's game improve. We've seen different areas of Josh Allen's game grow. He's growing as a passer. He's growing as a professional. And this was the game in which everybody saw it. And we saw Josh Allen's best performance as a pro, and I think only the best is yet to come.
I don't even think that it's just Josh Allen, to be honest with you.
It's not.
I mean, this defense, this whole team altogether, this team came in here wanting respect. They weren't getting respect. Nobody was picking them to come into Dallas on Thanksgiving Day and beat the Dallas Cowboys, let alone beat them by double digits. I mean, we doubled up on them. But nobody – this defense had a chip on their shoulder from the get-go coming in here. And then with Josh Allen getting motivated and pumping up the team, it was like a flurry. This team just erupted. And the thing is that this team is starting to peak at the right time. This is a time of year when you want your team peaking. You want your running game going. You want your defense shutting down the run. This is when you start playing for playoff football. This is what this team is doing. And everyone knows that I've been a Bills fan for years, since the 85 season. And when we beat the Dallas Cowboys, I didn't know what to say. I was just – because – as a Bills fan for the last 20-some years, we get up to that high level, and then it drops off. So I was ecstatic that we won, but I'm very optimistic, though, too, at the same time.
No, I'm extremely optimistic. Like, this was the game I needed to see. And we've been watching for these games all year. And after that, I mean, let's call it what it is. Our schedule has been very prime for the taking, if we'll call it that, so far this season.
Do you know what's funny, though, JT, on that point real quick? People have been saying that about our schedule, but as Bills fans, every week, what do we say? We need to win this game. This is a must-win game for the Bills. Whether it's the Miami Dolphins who's struggling, the Cincinnati Bengals, every week we say it, we need to win this game. So we're taking care of business.
No, I agree. Every game is a win game. And, I mean, as I talk to Donald Jones a lot, former Buffalo, he says all the time, every team's a professional team that steps on the field. And I get that. But let's call it what it is. Our schedule has been up to this point very fruitful. We'll put it that way. Okay, I'm not gonna say easy. I'm gonna say we're gonna place the word easy. We're fruitful, and we've eaten the fruit. But that Eagle game was a very scary revelation for us. We didn't know what this team was coming after that game, and we all circled this game right here. We're gonna get a tough team, a good run game, probably the number one offense in the league, if you want to call it that. Number one offense in the league. And we're going to see what we're made of on national TV. And we saw what we're made of. We came out and we left with turkey legs.
Yeah.
We left with turkey legs.
That's an impressive offense down there, too, that we faced. I mean,
it's not even like it was a close victory. It's not even like it was – I wasn't worried about this game at any point, aside, even including that first drive. I mean, we've seen this defense give up scripted drives at the beginning of games before. Go look at the Giants game as an example. I wasn't worried about this game at all. It was a very convincing, comfortable victory. Yeah, Dak put up a bunch of garbage time stats and all that, but when the game was still competitive, this team was downright dominant against a very talented Dallas Cowboy football team.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I think that this is a really talented offense that we saw. I mean, Amari Cooper with the 8 catches, 85 yards. Even Dak's throwing 49 passes for 355 yards. They put up some numbers against us, but what I noticed is our defense, we bended, but we didn't break. And like that first drive you're talking about, we did weather the storm in that first drive. We had everything thrown at us. We had penalties thrown at us. We had chunk yards by Ezekiel Elliott thrown at us. Our defense settled down. And I don't know if you guys heard it. The commentators were saying that Frazier and McDermott were walking up and down the sideline preaching to the team, fundamentals, trying to get them to settle down, and it seemed to work.
You know, it's funny, in every interview that we hear from every interview that our great Pat Freeman does with the Bills each week, the one thing you hear from the defense always say, stick to our 111th. Stick to our 111. So that, I mean, I guess that's the key word for fundamentals. I gotta get a straight definition from one. I know he's probably getting another interview with Shaq Lawson this week. So I gotta get a straight definition of what the 111 is. And if it's great, I'm gonna get a t-shirt made. I'm not gonna sell it because we're not about selling merch. We're about giving you great content. But the biggest thing is after that first drive, how many of us said, "Oh boy, Dallas is gonna, really do us in here"? Fred, you raised your hand first. I'll come to you. What did you think?
I'm not even going to lie to you. I mean, like I said, I was worried about this game going into this game. I'm not going to lie. Dallas is a talented team. They have a talented team, talented offense, talented defense. But what's more intimidated is you're in Jerry's world, the facility. Sometimes even that could overwhelm you. And not only that, but now you're on the big stage. People don't realize the 4:00 game on Thanksgiving Day is bigger than Monday Night Football. So for the Bills to get that opportunity, and they came out and took advantage of it, I was impressed. But at the first drive, I was like, here we go. I put down my food and got all ready to watch this, and we're going to come on the national stage and lay an egg. And it wasn't so much for me or for the Bills fans. I wanted it for the players, the Bills players themselves, because all the hard work they've been putting in this year. I wanted them to have success on this day. And then that will let Bills Mafia know this team's got us. They got our backs.
Yeah, no, that first drive was really scary. Clayton, what was your thoughts after that first Dallas drive? I mean, they came out hot.
I mean, personally, you look at it, this is where culture comes into play, is it not? Because after that first drive, it seemed like all the air was let out of their balloon. It really did. I mean, aside from us having to punt after our first offensive series, on the offensive side of the ball for the Dallas Cowboys, it seemed like that was all they had. They had that one scripted drive to start the game. And I mentioned it in my earlier point. I'm never really concerned about opening drives to start football games. Teams can be very good at them. Yes, they are designed to score touchdowns. They are designed to exploit the weaknesses of a defense. But where good teams separate from the lesser teams is if you can do that more so over a 4-quarter span rather than just a 8 to 10 play span. And I believe that the Bills were better at that during this game, and it inevitably proved to be true. As they held that offense, they held them pretty well in the first half, right? I mean, those 2 turnovers.
No,
they didn't. You don't think?
No, they didn't. And I'm gonna have to pull out my challenge flag on you,
yeah.
Okay? Because it wasn't after the first drive. Dallas was actually driving the second drive, as well, and they actually end up stalling out, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around the 40-yard line, 50-yard line. Because that's the drive they went forward on fourth and inches at their own 20 or 25 or something like that. All right, so no, I totally disagree that's not when the sales got let out. The sales got let out, in my opinion, probably was the blocked field goal before halftime. Because at that point, it's like, what else could go wrong for us? But, yeah, I remember the first 3 drives, Dallas moved the ball actually pretty well. But I think it was either the third or fourth drive, for some odd reason, they took Ezekiel Elliott out the game and ran with Pollard. Maybe it was just load management or rest. But that pretty much did it. Then Buffalo came down the field and scored. And after that, that was pretty much all she wrote from that point in time. There was another misconception that I saw from this week, too, that a lot of people talked about. I read somewhere a lot of people were saying that Trey White shut down Amari Cooper. And as much as I love Trey White and I love this defense, that couldn't be the furthest from the truth. He didn't shut down Amari Cooper. Not at all.
He held him out of the end zone, but he didn't shut him down.
No. Amari Cooper had 8 catches for 85 yards. And at least 7 of those catches came on Trey White. So, but Trey White held it on. Amari Cooper's a damn good receiver. We're not gonna call him out like he ain't. Amari Cooper is one of the top receivers in the NFL, whether you want to believe it or not. And that's why Dallas gave a first-round pick for him. But no, Trey did his job and defense did his job, but he did not shut Amari Cooper down. And I actually thought that was going to be our first 100-yard receiver that we gave up against this defense all season.
But Ezekiel Elliott had 137 total yards from the line of scrimmage.
Well, yeah. Well, he was also averaging, I think it was like 5.9 yards per carry.
5.9 yards per carry, even 12 on 71. Yeah, but we held him out of the end zone. But I don't know if he was injured and they were trying to keep him healthy, or they wanted him more implemented in the passing game. But I mean, this guy runs. He runs hard when he touches the ball, and he was picking chunk yard. I don't know why they stopped running him. I'll tell you right now, they continue the pounding ground against us with Ezekiel. I don't think we pull this win out.
Right, and really the interesting thing is this is the second win in a row where our run defense really didn't give us any reason to believe that the problems in that facet of the defense were fixed. More so, the offense pulled away with a 2-possession lead, and they situationally made zero sense for the other offense to continuously run the football. I mean, Zeke was single-handedly destroying this defense. He was the reason why that offense was driving more times than not, and they just abandoned the running game as a whole, and I couldn't tell you why, but I'm still concerned about the run defense, but they'll definitely be tested next week.
I think the turnovers were a big factor in this game as well.
Yeah. Oh, that was huge. Those were
We had the
huge.
interception, and don't forget, we picked the ball off a couple times, and there was flags that took that away from us. And then the one forced fumble, we had the sack strip. I think it was Trent Murphy. That was on fourth down, so it was a fourth down play so it was a turnover on downs. But we've actually forced probably 4 or 5 turnovers against them guys.
Right. And I want to talk about something here about turnovers here. And it was actually good to see. I know a couple weeks ago that Shaq Lawson did say that this defense need to start causing some turnovers in an interview with Pat Freeman. And obviously when they did this, like that gave our offense great field position, like literally all game, those turnovers. And kudos to them, but I'm gonna give kudos to the Star Latuli. I'm not. Everybody know if you watch this show, I am not a big Star Latuli fan. Not a fan. I'm not gonna go deep into it. Boy, I want to play a little game here. In the chat, if you're watching the show, I want you, whether it's live and if you catch it, recap. In the chat, when Star Latuli got the interception, I just want you to describe in one word your feelings. And I'm going to read some of these off in a second. But the play of Star Latuli, he had a block field goal this game. He had an interception. I mean, are we feeling better about Star Latuli now? Clayton, I'll start with you.
I can't really say that I'm not, because he's starting to make impactful plays on the defense. He's starting to hold better gap integrity in the run defense. And I really think most of the credit's due to the addition of Corey Liuget, because we saw Star Latuli playing 55 to 60% of the snaps prior to the addition of Corey Liuget. Now we've seen him take about 10% off of Star Latuli. So Star Latuli, that 10%, that's a lot. That means a lot in a 4-quarter basis, on a game-to-game basis, rather. And we've seen improvement from him. We've seen a higher motor from him. I saw him get penetration in the backfield numerous times. I mean, we've seen him get 2 sacks in the last 3 games, not counting he didn't have any against Dallas, but that interception, that was a really heads-up play and a tough play to make for a 330-pound man that isn't used to catching many footballs. Star Latuli, he's been making an impact on that side of the ball, and that's something I couldn't say the first half of the season.
Fred, Star Latuli.
Yeah, and I think it is. I think it's the way that they're rotating these defensive tackles in, because, now you got Ed Oliver starting to come into his own. He's starting to make plays, 2 sacks against Dallas, and he had a strip sack as well. And, they're starting to put that pressure on him. They're bringing maybe 6 or 7 coming now, and so they're blitzing a little bit more, and it's freeing up those Star Latuli, because now the center's got to slide to the right to pick up Oliver, or he's got to slide over to pick up Jordan Phillips. So yeah, he's now getting recognized that he can make plays on that D line, because the offense has to pick up these other guys who are just bull rushing through. So
and he's the highest paid, he's highest paid out of any of them, so he should be making plays. Not gonna let him off the hook for that one. $1 million man. But no, I give up to him. He's as Travis Burkowski said in the chat. He's showing up. He's showing up on the stat sheet now, and I mean that's big. That's huge. He's showing up. Ed Oliver he's picking up this pro game at this midway point during the season. So it's a little bit past the midway, but he's picking it up now. He's getting it. He's making those plays. Those first couple of games during the season, he kept getting like this close to making those plays, and he just wasn't making them. But he's making them now. That's 4 sacks in the last 2 games?
I think it's the way that Sean McDermott is developing these young kids for this defense. I don't think that he was throwing a lot at Oliver at first. I think he was trying to get him in there here and there, sprinkling him in some plays, trying to get his feet wet, trying to get familiar with the defense, the scheme and whatnot, making him comfortable. Now I think we're seeing that he is comfortable. He's absorbing the defensive playbook, and now he's starting to make plays.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to give it the credit to Sean McDermott. I'm going to give the credit to Leslie Frazier, because it seems that when we give credit to the defense, we always give this credit to Sean McDermott. And if you want to go back in history, Leslie Frazier historically was a better defensive coordinator than Sean McDermott was. Just saying. Clayton, what's your thoughts on that, Oliver?
I think a lot of it has to do with how the Bills are starting to bring extra pressure. They're starting to bring their linebackers. On 3rd down this week, I saw them bring 6 or 7 guys a lot at Dak Prescott to try and rattle him in the pocket. And one of the times you saw Ed Oliver come up with a sack, actually twice. I think he came up with 2 sacks this game, right?
Yeah.
So you saw
yes, 2 sacks.
So you saw him come up with 2 sacks in this game. And it's never been a matter of he's not getting it done. It's never been a matter of he's just not being a good football player. Obviously, he's been getting better as the weeks go on, but he's been working in there. He's been getting double teamed a lot. And now when you have players that you have to account for, when you're sending extra players on a blitz, that's more people that the offensive line have to account for. And odds are Ed Oliver is going to get one-on-one or get a mismatch at that. So that's a very good reason as to why you start to see more production from him in the stat numbers as well.
Well, he has 5 sacks in the season now.
Right.
And I thought we said going into the season, I thought a good stat line for him would be to come out his rookie season with 7. And I think he's going to get there. And it's a quiet 5. Like I said, Ed Oliver has had a very strange season. I mean, if you look at his PFF numbers and he's getting to the quarterback within 4 seconds, within 3 seconds a lot of times. He's causing havoc. He's disrupting things. But like I said, he just wasn't showing up on the stat sheet. And it's funny. It's an interesting dynamic there that Star Lotulelei gets paid $10 million per year, and it's okay if he doesn't show up on the stat sheet. But Oliver's a first-round pick, and we do expect him to show up on the stat sheet every single week. It almost feels like a Shaq Lawson first 3 year situation where he didn't show up on the stat sheet all the time, but he did his job, right? It's not saying that anybody's wrong for their expectations. It's just kind of a very strange dynamic there to me with that.
Same thing with Jerry Hughes last year. He got, everybody's asking, where's Jerry Hughes? Where's all these sacks? He's not getting any sacks. But then you look at it and you're like, wow, I didn't realize he led the league in quarterback pressures. He wasn't getting the sack, but he was getting the pressure. So in a sense, he was doing his job. Just wasn't showing up on that stat sheet.
Right. Now, you guys, if you guys want, leave your questions in the chat and we'll answer. We'll try to get to most of them. We do have one now here from a Scott Albert. What are the chances Scott Albert asks, what are the chances that we win against the Ravens? The line has opened up as 6.5 favorites for the Ravens on the road. That's a lot of points. What are we thinking about this Raven matchup? I mean, is that spread disrespectful? What do you think?
The Ravens are 6.5 point favorites in Buffalo?
In Buffalo. Clay?
Wow. That's a tad disrespectful. I mean, you look at these teams are separated by 1 win, and the Patriots have a statement win over New England. So, I mean, I'm not saying the Ravens are any kind of slouch. I'm not saying that they didn't earn their record because they're a damn good football team. You look at the things Lamar Jackson's doing in this league. A lot of people thought this guy should have been a wide receiver coming into the National Football League. He has proven so many people wrong, just as Josh Allen. I think it's an interesting matchup. I mean, we talk about how dynamic this defense has been these last 3 weeks, how they have almost flipped the switch and have been playing more aggressive. And you tell me that, and then I can't help but expect them to try and play Lamar Jackson the same way. I can't help but think that they're going to pressure Lamar Jackson. They're going to try and confuse him with different variations of coverage packages, blitz packages, whatever it may be. I'm excited to see what the Bills defense throws at Lamar Jackson. I think 6.5 point favorites in Buffalo, that's a tad disrespectful. I'd agree with that.
I don't think it's disrespectful. I mean, we went into Dallas. They were 7 point favorites over us. So
were
I mean,
were they 7? They opened at 7.
Yeah,
they were 7.
7 points. I mean, the thing is that we still have not, technically speaking, we still haven't beaten that team. You know what I mean? So they don't think Dallas was that team. But I'm not going to take anything away from this Baltimore team. I've watched them a couple weeks now. I watched them pick apart the Rams. I mean, they are a good football team. Harbaugh does a great job down there. He's he's got a very good disciplined football team. They're playing well. They're flying around to the football on the defensive side. Offense, I mean, they got a lot of gadget plays, and I mean, the biggest thing for us is that we got to come out there and contain this guy. I think if we can contain him, keep him in the pocket, we'll have a strong chance of beating him. But I don't think it's going to be a game that we roll someone over. I think it's going to be a very close game. Hopefully we get some weather on our side. And Bills Mafia, if you guys can hear me right now, you guys get out there, fill those seats. Don't sell your tickets. Get out there, help this team, cheer them on. Get up there and get loud.
I don't think you have to ask them to go out there. I really don't. I mean, they've traveled to like 5 different stadiums, taken like 5 different stadiums over on the road. I'm pretty positive they'll be there. No, I mean, I don't think it's disrespectful. I mean, this Baltimore team has looked like the best team in the NFL. And if you go by the power rankings, they've beaten the Patriots. Now today they've beaten the 49ers. So I don't think it's disrespectful at all. 6.5. Hey, maybe this team feels disrespected again. They come out and they continue to play. Like I said, Buffalo we've had a track record of losing for almost 20 years. It's gonna take a whole lot to prove the doubt is wrong. And I mean, it's gonna take at least 2 seasons of winning till we get our respect. So,
I mean, even after the Dallas win, nobody came out and said, "Hey, we love you again." No, they just said, "Hey, good job, Buffalo. Great job." They got the pat on the back. There you go. Good job. You should have won.
That's it. And it instantly turned to, hey, is Jerry Jones going to fire Jason Garrett? So, I mean, we have another question. Ray Cruz, question for Clayton. Tomorrow night's game, each team has implications. Texans win means we gun for division or Patriots. A win so it pushes KC back and Texans down to the wild card. Your take, please.
Who I'd prefer to play in the wild card?
Yeah, I think that's what he's asking.
Well, before today, it was the Colts, but they appear to be out of that race.
Yeah,
so,
done.
Personally, it's interesting because you have 3 really good football teams. I can't really tell you who I'd want to play in the wild card. I can tell you I don't want to play the Chiefs. No, and the Chiefs, they're easily one of the most dynamic teams in football as far as the offensive side of the ball is concerned. You look at how the Bills attacked a team like the Eagles, who had numerous threats in the receiving and rushing game. You had Alshon Jeffrey, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. And then you look, that's just 3 weapons, and that's not including an Nelson Aguilar and Miles Sanders and what have you. That Chiefs offense, personnel-wise, is the best in football. You got, it's loaded everywhere. They're 4 players deep at wide receiver. LaShawn McCoy's over there. Damian Williams is no slouch. Their offensive line is one of the best in football. I can't tell you who I'd want to play in the playoff in the wild card round. It'd probably be the Titans, even though they gave us some troubles earlier in the season. It'd probably be the Titans, but I definitely don't want to match up with the Chiefs, especially in Arrowhead.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to. You said number 25's over there. The last thing you want to do is play Shady McCoy with a chip on his shoulder. I wouldn't want to play the Chiefs. Anybody else, I'm all for.
Out all those people on the Chiefs, you mentioned Shady McCoy.
I'm just saying, Shady McCoy, he's got a way of motivating a team too. Don't forget about that. I mean, he's a good player. He's still a good football player. They just got more weapons over there. But I'm just saying, I think with him being over there with the Chiefs, the way they play the game, I don't think I'd want to play them either, just based on that alone.
Sammy Watkins is scary more than LaShawn McCoy would. I'm just saying, if we're going for chip, Sammy Watkins would be the chip I'd be more afraid of than LaShawn McCoy. I'm sorry.
I don't think Sammy would put a chip up against Buffalo. I think that love affair has been over for years.
Yeah,
so.
I think he would.
I think he would too. I'll take my chances. With Sammy than I will with LaShawn, man. But no, for me, it's definitely gonna be. I love to play Houston. I'd much rather play Houston. That'd be my matchup. I don't think any of those matchups are great matchups. Essentially, no disrespect to any of those teams, but if I had to pick one, it'd be Houston. Moving on, we have another question from Jack C. Meredith. Will we use a spy on Lamar Jackson? Fred, I'll come to you first. You like to put the coach's hat on, so let's give us some chalk talk.
I don't think you're going to do that. I don't think you put a spy on this kid. And the only reason why is you put a spy on, now you're taking out another defender for the passing lane. So I don't think you're going to do that. I think that you're going to have to, like I said, get pressure on this kid, maybe throw some exotic blitzes at him, and try to get your defensive ends to not come up the field all the way, to come up and just contain. Maybe step in the pocket, not show their number. So if they don't show the number, they can't be blocked. So they want to come up and contain this kid. I think you're going to see sort of like a wide 9 or something to beat this kid.
All right, Clayton, what are you using a spy, Lamar?
No, I'm not, because when you watch Lamar Jackson, are you picking really any singular player with him in open space? Is there any player that you can sure find without a doubt, say he's going to bring him down in space when he has him one-on-one? Sure. That's the one reason that what?
Yes.
Who? On the Bills defense?
Yes.
Be Matt Milano?
Star Latulippe. All
right. But no, I would not spy Lamar Jackson, because reasons that Fred pointed out. You're taking one player out of coverage. It'd be one thing if Lamar Jackson were as one-dimensional as many thought he would be coming into this season. He's not just a running quarterback. He can throw the ball through the air. I think I looked it up today. He's completing over 66% of his passes. That's very good as far as NFL standards are concerned. And no, I would not spy Lamar Jackson. I would more likely contain him. And like Fred said, more so of a wide 9. Keep him in the pocket. Make him beat you that way. Don't have a linebacker or a safety even spy him throughout the game.
No, if it's up to me, I'm probably going back to what we did mostly last year with the base cover 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going back to the base cover 3. I'm bringing one of the safeties up in the box, letting the safety make plays in the middle of the field, and I'm keeping everything in front of me. My corners, my linebackers, everything in front of me, and flying to the ball. We did a pretty good job of flying to the ball with Dak. He did have a couple runs, but Dak got hit hard on a couple of those runs to the first down marker. He got hit hard, and he got hit hard because he wasn't able to shed the tackles or shed the hits because you had more than one defender.
Right.
So, you have to do the same thing with Lamar. But back to this Dallas game. Devin Singletary is another one who seemed to impress. And then we'll also talk about Brian Daboll. And actually, let me get the poll up for the Brian Daboll approval rate that we do every week. And let's just see if the numbers changed. Devin Singletary continues to impress. Continues to impress every week. And this week, he had 14 carries for 63 yards and averaged another 4.3 yards. I mean, he's making plays. And it seems most of his plays are coming from the left side of the field between Dawkins and Quentin Spain as well. So definitely shout out to those guys who are playing excellent ball. Quentin Spain deserves to get paid this offseason, by the way. So please back up the Brinks truck. What are we seeing from Devin Singletary this week that we haven't seen other weeks? Or what are you seeing from him, Fred? Who does he compare to? Because I have a good comparison for you on him.
I actually like what I'm seeing out of Devin Singletary. And I think everyone remembers I said it earlier on. He kind of reminds me of a Thurman Thomas type player. And now that they're getting him involved more with the passing game, I think he's starting to come into his own with that. He had, 101 yards from the line of scrimmage in this game. And what I noticed that I like about it is that, he runs through there. And then when he gets hit and then he gets that little nudge or something after the play, he's right up there. He's not afraid. He wants to get right in there and mix it up with these big guys. But I really like what I'm seeing out of him. I like that he's involved in the passing game. The pass from John Brown, that was huge. It was nice to see that they're involving him. And like we said before, we were kind of worried about him he looked like he wasn't, on the same page with Josh Allen as far as the passing game. But I think that they're working that out. I think they're starting to get a cohesiveness together because he really does look better and more comfortable in the passing game. And I think that's huge.
Personally, I still don't think he looks comfortable in the passing game personally. He's just not a natural fit at it. I think he didn't catch a lot of balls at FAU, so I think as time goes by and he catch more balls, period, he'll get more comfortable. But they are getting him involved more. I would still like see TJ Yeldon in his roster, but I actually got a quote from James Mallory that actually makes sense, and I'll mention that after we get to Clayton's point on Devin Singletary.
If you're asking me for a straight up comparison for Devin Singletary, and this might interest some people, I'm going to say is Rashard Mendenhall without the fumbles. That's really who he reminds me of, is his low center of gravity, his contact balance. He doesn't really have that much explosion. He's not the fastest back on the field, but I think that helps him more or less. It helps him have time to have the vision, to find the right lane, to find the right hole, to set up defenders in open space. And you look at another 100-yard scrimmage game for him against Dallas. He is certainly going to be a factor in this offense going forward rather. And you look at the success of the offense, anytime Devin Singletary has had a successful day, the Bills have won. Yep. He is a key component in this offense. I wouldn't say he's the future back in this backfield, the future workload back for like going forward or anything like that. But I would say he is a great asset to this offense, and they need to have him involved on a weekly basis.
Well, no, following this season, you're definitely going to have to add another back with him.
Mm-hmm.
In this day and age in NFL, really, who runs one back anyway? Who does that anymore? It's for a reason, to keep people fresh. But no, back to Devin Singletary. Watching that game, and not because there was just Dallas and previous games this season, he reminds me a lot of Emmitt Smith. Obviously a little bit more elusive than what Emmitt was, but his running style, the low to the ground, following your blocks, hitting the hole fast, and just continuously churning yards. He reminds me of a lot of the Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith. Now, obviously, those are big shoes to fill, and I would never want anybody to try to fill those shoes. Emmitt Smith are the all-time leading rusher in history of NFL. But just his running style. Like, I could see the Thurman a little bit too, but for me, Thurman's an easy comparison because it's Buffalo, like the Josh Allen to Kelly. Like, if you really want me to tell you who Josh Allen reminds me of, and it may be a weird comparison to people, he reminds me of Don McNabb in his best years. That's who Josh Allen really reminds me a lot of.
Donovan McNabb?
Donovan McNabb in his best years.
I can see that.
You mean his best years in Syracuse?
No, his best years in Philadelphia. He had a lot. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of good years in Philadelphia. But that's who his play style reminds me of. It reminds me of Donovan McNabb and somewhat of Steve McNair as well. That's just my comparison for Josh Allen.
Steve McNair was fearless.
Right, and so was Josh. And that's one of the things that sticks out to me. But I also don't want him to end up on the trainer's table because we do know about Donovan McNabb's career. I mean, not Donovan. Well, Donovan was in the trainer's table too, but Steve McNair's career, he was on the training table every week before the game. So, that's a quick comparison there. But One of the things I saw from this offense is that this up tempo, and we have our Brian Daboll approval poll up this week as normal. Now you guys know the drill. The poll is up. Vote, and we'll announce it in a little bit. Brian Daboll, how do we feel about the way he called this game today? I mean, not today. Well, Thursday. Are we happy with it? Is up tempo? Is it the change in scheme? Is it the personnel change? Because there has been some personnel changes and some snap count changes a lot. That percentages have actually been changed a whole lot. What's going on differently? What are we seeing? What are we happy with? We're still not happy with. Fred, I'll start with you.
I think the fact is that Brian Daboll's up in the press box and he's able to see the field. He's able to see what the defense is adjusting to when he's coming out with these certain packages. So he's able to bring out a package and see how the defense adjusted, and then he can go back to that if he needs to. If I was to change anything, I think it's like I think it was the third quarter. We had just gotten the ball. We're down inside. I think we're on the 30. And we kind of went back to like vanilla. We were trying to run Josh off the tackle a little bit to the right. It didn't seem like we were aggressive. I think I want to see Daboll stay more aggressive. When you're in that opportunity to score, stay aggressive. Take a couple long shots. You know what I mean? Get more aggressive. That's what I would like to see of him. But for the most part, since the Miami game, I think he's calling better games every week. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I like the creativity that he put in there with that flea flicker play. I like that he had a lot of speed on the field, and that's one thing that we were asking for, is to put speed on the field with this team. I like seeing Robert Foster, and I like seeing McKenzie coming out as a slot. I think that's a defense killer right there, is having him coming out of slot too. So
a lot of speed, a lot of speed to cover crossing across the NFL field. Yep. Clayton, what are you seeing from Brian Daboll? What are your thoughts? And then we'll move on to Cole Beasley's welcome home party.
Well, you look at what he's doing. The position he's putting Josh Allen in is a position to succeed. I mean, this up-tempo, hurry-up offense is ran out of 11 personnel with the players of this offense that Josh Allen seems to be most comfortable with. That features Dawson Knox, John Brown, Cole Beasley, and Devin Singletary, and Isaiah McKenzie. I can't forget Isaiah McKenzie, because Isaiah McKenzie is a player that low-key has a lot of chemistry with Josh Allen. I mean, a lot of people don't see it, but if you go back and watch the latter half of the season last year, you could see the chemistry on a play-to-play basis almost with Isaiah McKenzie. And if it's one thing that I'd like to see this offense do going forward, I can't really speak on it from this Dallas game because we don't know the status of his health really coming off of a short week and a hamstring injury, is get Robert Foster more involved. I think Robert Foster, we talk about speed, we talk about having this quarterback in positions to succeed. Robert Foster is a fast player, and I think if you utilize his skill set and you put him in positions to succeed, he's going to be a good football player in the NFL. We saw him give Stephon Gilmore fits last year in, week 15. We saw him give him fits in coverage. I think he's a very good football player, and I think he needs to be utilized more in this offense.
I agree.
Well, I mean, he has to be healthy. That's been his problem all year. They wanted to utilize him since in the last season, but he wasn't healthy in offseason. He wasn't healthy in mini camps. He wasn't healthy in preseason. He got in the season. When he finally got healthy in the season, he got hurt again. Then when he came back last week, he got hurt again. So, I mean, it's the best ability is your availability. So he has to be available. But, I mean, I would love to see Robert Foster. You can tell that there's a huge difference when Robert Foster's on the outside of the field with John Brown and McKenzie and Beasley in the middle. It opens up a lot because you do have to respect the speed.
Yep.
You have to. And even if you're running the ball as a corner, you can't play up on toe-to-toe with him. You have to play off a little bit, which gives him enough time to get out and block you for running the ball as well. Cole Beasley. Oh, wait, I didn't give my opinion on Brian Daboll. I forgot. So, the press box, okay, I'll agree that may have helped out a lot at this point in time. Maybe the fact that it lit a fire under him with the rumors, because like I said, no one wants their boss to have to answer for them in a press conference the way Sean McDermott did, to the point where he walked out. That means you have to be next on the chopping block. It's no doubt about it, unless you're going to be like Wade Phillips and not fire Ronnie Jones and get fired yourself. You know what I mean? You're going to be on the chopping block. So maybe it lit a fire on him. I mean, maybe him not being on the sideline is making Josh more comfortable in forming that bond between him and Dorsey, because Dorsey's a former quarterback, and that relationship's, Dorsey's not an old guy. So it's almost like Derek Anderson being on the sideline with Josh. So maybe it worked out best for all parties. But I think the fact that we are not just getting away from the running game, and we're not chucking the ball up there 35 times a game has also helped. Someone just mentioned in the chat, and I'm gonna go find it, that it's much more balanced now. When I find it, I will make sure I mention you up because that was really great. But what do we think about the trick play? He tried to run something like that last year against New England on Monday night, and it failed. But it's probably because of the personnel we had.
He tried to run it against the Dolphins last year too, right? Only it was Zay Jones throwing the ball to Josh Allen. It was he's shown these variations of creativity with, I mean, almost a Philly special type play. But I liked it. I thought it was very well timed. That was probably the most well timed play call I've seen Brian Daboll make all season. It might sound almost hyperbolic. What was it? Yeah, probably his career as well. Because you think about it. You have that 4th and 1. It followed that 4th and 1 play where Josh Allen picked it up and just trucked his way for a first down. After that play, put yourself on that defensive side of the ball. Put yourself in their shoes. You are deflated. You went from an ultimate high, we just stopped him on 4th down, to an ultimate low of, holy crap, what did this quarterback just do to our defense? Yep. You are deflated, and you are almost mentally defeated at that point. And that's where the culture kind of works into this of mental deflation and whatnot. And I thought that defense was defeated, and it was a good play call. It was a good time play call, and they weren't expecting it. There wasn't a defender, 20 yards within Devin Singletary. It was wide open for a touchdown. I liked the play call. I thought it was very well timed. I'd be surprised to see it work again because once you put something like that on film, teams are going to key in on it immediately. But, yeah, I like the call.
Fred?
I absolutely love the call. I think it was a right time to do it. And what they used is that end around that we were doing, those jet sweeps. So that's how that got implemented in there as well. And I think that's how Devin Singletary was able to sneak out on the backside. It looked like a wheel route that he was running. But I think, like to Clayton's point, that defense, they were back on their heels. They're deflated. I mean, you just let our quarterback fumble the ball, pick it up, dust it off, and then drive himself. And he was pumped. Right after that, the whole team got pumped up. So that's why they were able to execute that play flawlessly, because they were just pumped and motivated. That was a will to score. It was a great time to make that call, too. Like you said, the defense was just bewildered. What just happened?
No, and I agree. Before we get to Cole Beasley's homecoming, and that's going to be the last topic of tonight, I'm going to read off some of these comments here, because all you guys have some really good comments out there, by the way. Bills Mafia, Devon Ogden says Bills Mafia was huge in Dallas. There were so many Bills fans. I mean, this is like the 5th takeover. We took over MetLife twice. We've taken over Tennessee. We took over Dallas. That's 4.
Miami.
And we took over Miami. That's
Tennessee.
5. That's 5 away games so far this year we've taken over. That's literally almost all our away games. Mind you, we've won 5 away games this year as well, right? That's we're like 5 on the road. So, Kenny Riggleman says Jackson does not slide. We need to lay a few hits on him and let him know he's in for a long game if he run. I agree.
He took some hits today.
Yeah.
He's just hard to bring down, man. He's hard to bring down.
Take his legs out.
Justin Dickinson makes a very good comment here. We will beat Baltimore. You guys believe in getting it right at the right time? ? I'd say our soft schedule has prepared us to get our strongest ready for playoff football. You know, I totally agree.
Yep, I agree.
Totally agree. Teron Rivers says our next 3 games are going to tell it all. Well, I think it started with this Dallas game. So I mean, really, this was the tough part of our schedule. We could finish with a split in this. We're taking a run with it. Let's see what else we have here.
Yeah, because if we take 2 of these games, I mean, that's 11 wins.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 11 wins. I mean, you have to take that and run with it. Jack C. Meredith Jr. says, I think you bring the safety blitz and have Poyer smash him a few times. You know, Poyer has been actually very successful blitzing against running quarterbacks the last couple of years. And actually, Poyer sneakily got like 3 or 4 sacks the last couple of years as well. He's actually a very successful blitzer. And
we also used Teron Johnson, too, last year a lot coming up.
Kenny Riggleman also says, Singletary reminds me of Maurice Jones-Drew, a little power guy who runs hard. That is a very good comparison, actually.
Yeah, it is. Bowling ball right there.
Very solid comparison. And last comment, Nick Lettieri says, the last 3 games we have run 97%, 11 personnel in quarters 1 through 3 before we just started to run the clock. And that goes back to your point, Clayton, about the 11 personnel. So definitely said we found some type of offensive identity now going forward. And that's huge. So, guys, Cole Beasley goes home to Dallas, if you want to call it home. And, I mean, he pretty much just smashes these guys. Literally smashes these guys. What do you think about Beasley, Fred?
Man, what can I say about the guy? I mean, every time he turned around, the guy was wide open. I mean, that pass to Josh Allen, that ball was zipped. I mean, he just put it on the outside of the defender. I mean, the guy caught the 6 balls, 110 yards, a touchdown. I mean, and the guy got his face mask or his helmet ripped off him, and he had a couple of bruises on his face, but he still was balling. I mean, talk about being motivated to face your to face your past team. I mean, he was. I mean, he came out and he played. And what was nice is that the Bills gave him the ball to let him do that. So, I mean, hats off. I'm glad this guy's on our team. And I think they compared him. I thought I heard, I don't know if it was Romo or Jim Nantz said, there's Wes Welker. You know, he looks like a Wes Welker element out there. And you know what? It's a great weapon for Josh Allen to have.
Totally agree. Clayton, Cole Beasley.
You know, it's not just this Dallas game. This was an excellent game. But in the last 3 games, really when this offense started to take a turn for the better, you've seen Josh Allen have a far better in-game chemistry with Cole Beasley. You've seen him look his way more often. While it has been at the offense of John Brown, and you've seen him be used less, but you've seen Cole Beasley be used more. And you've seen the chemistry in the game. And you talk about him coming back to Dallas, and you talk about him having his first 100-yard game as a Bill against his former team. That's a huge thing for confidence. That's a huge thing for confidence for this offense. I mean, Josh Allen really looks for Cole Beasley more when he's improvising, when he's running out of the pocket, when he's lost sight of everybody else on the field or everyone else is covered. He looks for Cole Beasley. He's an outlet player, and I think he was a really good addition for Josh Allen, especially on third downs. That's when you see him go to Cole Beasley most. And I think Cole Beasley is really starting to build a solid chemistry with Josh Allen. And like some people said in the comments, it couldn't be at a better time.
No, definitely. Cole Beasley has definitely made his presence known in this team and this roster. He fits the culture, he fits the scheme, and he fits the caliber and blue collar city of Buffalo is. I actually got the chance to meet his mom other week in Miami, and very, very, very nice lady. So I could believe that he's a very nice individual as well. What Beasley brings, he brings a lot of toughness that we don't talk about. We talk about the route run, we talk about Chris Mill. We don't talk about the toughness he brings. Him and Josh Allen mirror each other in toughness. And that creates an instant bond, instant connection. Not that John Brown, these other receivers aren't tough, but it takes a lot to go across the middle over and over and over again, getting hit. And that's where the Wes Welker comparison comes in, obviously.
Yep.
But the fact that the last 2 weeks Cole Beasley has been targeted almost like 15 to 16 times the last 2 games. So now we're going away from John Brown, who was hot the first half of the first 2 quarters of the season, 2.5 quarters of the season. And now that he's slowing down, the defense is keying on him. Now we're using Cole Beasley more. So now we're going to get Dawson Knox involved more because Dawson Knox he's having a hell of a rookie season. It's by no means the numbers aren't going to jump off the charts at you. But the consistency is there.
The toughness.
Toughness, right. So you add Cole Beasley in, you add John Brown, and you add Dawson Knox, and maybe you can get a Robert Foster with this running game going. And you get to January and you got a problem. December you have a huge problem.
And what's nice is how young are these guys?
Well, right. Beasley and Brown are about to be Beasley's 30, Brown 30, Beasley's 29.
So I'm saying, I mean, they still got some thread left on the tires, but the rest of the core of this team that these guys are putting together, they're young. They're young.
No, definitely they're young. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what we go do going forward because I mean, we have a lot of tools, and the biggest tool is probably the offensive line. Cody Ford did one hell of a job with DeMarcus Lawrence. I want to shout him out personally because we've been really tough on Cody this year. Mm-hmm. On this show particularly, but, I mean, don't mind you, he deserved it. But he's held his own in back-to-back weeks versus Von Miller and DeMarcus Lawrence. How big of a learning experience is that, for him in both of those games? Clayton, you're offensive lineman?
Yeah, I mean, when he came into the league, he's a very raw player, I thought. And I thought he was better fit to play guard. And I talked about it on last week's show. I thought we were really starting to see him grow. We were starting to see him play far better football after playing over a half a season of football at the right tackle position. maybe it wasn't the best idea to move him into guard. Maybe it was better for his development to throw him into the fire, throw him to the wolves, have to play the Von Millers of the world, have to play the DeMarcus Lawrences of the world. And we're starting to see better outcomes on a week-to-week basis. I mean, there were a few plays where he straight up pushed DeMarcus Lawrence on his face. DeMarcus Lawrence is one of the better pass rushers in the league, and he got paid last offseason because of that. And there were a few plays where DeMarcus Lawrence beat him. Of course, that's going to happen when you're playing one of the better pass rushers in the league. That's going to happen to the best tackles in the National Football League. But the point being, Cody Ford held his own. He did a good enough job so that DeMarcus Lawrence, who was a game wrecker, did not wreck the Bills' offense on that Thursday game.
Totally agree. Cody Ford for it, and then we can take off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know there was that one hiccup at the first quarter where he come off the edge and, he didn't pick him up. He kind of whiffed on him. But after that, the guy stood his ground. I mean, he was getting his hands up quick, and that's what you want to see. You want to see your offensive line get their hands up, get inside quick on these defenders, and try to get them off their spot. But for the most part, like you said, the kid is young. He is growing, but I do like his aggressiveness. How he's aggressive. I like how he's not afraid to get in there and mix it up with these guys. And you know what? He's only going to get better.
No, definitely. So, I mean, I have nothing left to say. I mean, I didn't have anything to say before this show the way they won on Thursday. We were done this show on Thursday, or this game would happen today. I don't know if we could have a show. I was in shock, like Fred was. So we'll go with our final thoughts. Clayton, final thoughts?
This was honestly for me, this was the most euphoric victory as a Bills fan that I can remember since the Bills beat New England. I would say the playoff berth game in Week 17 2 years ago, but that we all know how the Bills got the playoffs that year. It was the most euphoric moment as a fan in 8 years. But going forward, they have a tough matchup this week as well. I think this was a game in which a young football team can build confidence off of it. Okay. This was their record isn't very indicative of how talented that football team really is. You look at that team, they have Super Bowl caliber talent, in my opinion. And I think it's a confidence builder for a young football team about to play one of the best football teams in the league that we were talking about earlier with the Baltimore Ravens. And I think it's an excellent opportunity for this football team going forward.
Yeah. Fred, final thoughts?
Yeah, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving because I know I did. And I mean, I got to say that Sean McDermott, this is the second holiday that he treated Bills Mafia to a great win. I mean, the last time it was 2017 when it was New Year's Eve and, the Bills made the playoffs. Now McDermott, he gives everybody a great Thanksgiving. I mean, what a gift, Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. But guess what? Tomorrow's Monday. Get your lunch pail. Time to go back to work. We got the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday, so enjoy that victory. But tomorrow, it's time to get back to work.
By the way, it is still officially Victory Monday. This week we played on Thursday. All that means we have a Victory Friday, a Victory Saturday, a Victory Sunday, and a Victory Monday. So it's still Victory Monday. So I'm pretty sure Clayton will be tweeting out, put your best GIFs out for Victory Monday tomorrow morning. Definitely shout out to Dan Gabino from Cold Socks. He actually has a video on our page where he did some touring of Jerry's World for us. So make sure you check that out. Check out Cold Sock's page. He couldn't take any video in there because Jerry World was confiscating video cameras and stuff. So, but he does have pictures, so definitely shout out to him. Stay tuned this week for Pat Freeman's locker room interviews. We get those exclusive through Cold Front Report. We put those out every week. So let's see who he picks up this week. Other than that, I think we are what? We D-O-N? Are we D-O-N-E? I think we're done.
Don't forget your swag. Christmas time's here.
Yeah, get your Cold Front Report swag. Make sure you check out the Overtime Podcast with Clayton Garrett this week. Also, make sure you're checking out www.coldfrontreport.com. We got some pretty good reads and articles up there. Anthony Bomasuto, Travis Berkowski, and Clayton Garrett, and Rob Roberson write some great articles. I don't have enough time to write. If I did, I would. But I don't. So check those out. Other than that, guys, 9-3 through 12.
Chugging along.
3/4 of the season done, and 9-3. Can't beat it. So we'll see Baltimore next week. Be an interesting game. Can't wait. Guys, catch you later. Make sure you stay in Tuesday for the Wise with Serious, Stevie Johnson's Wise with Serious podcast. And let's see what the pros have to say about what the hell happened. Catch you guys later. Have a good night.